Hello, my beautiful family. I welcome you again to another tutorial. So today we are going to make a 5-layered flare skirt, 5-layer step skirt. You can call it shared skirt. They call it Caribbean skirt. Whichever name that you know it to be, we are going to be learning it today. So today I'm going to teach you 2 methods that you can use to cut your skirt. Okay, and I want you to take note of these tips. When you are cutting this skirt, there are materials you must choose. You must choose the right materials to be able to get the beauty of the skirt. And one of the materials that is best for this style is actually a silk fabric. So that's why you see so many vendors, they have this silk fabric. Okay, it can be plain, it can be patterned, they can use adire silk fabric. Okay, so it depends on what you want. Okay, but if you choose any of this fabric, there are different methods you can cut out, that you can use to cut out this particular skirt. So today I'm going to teach you two methods. Okay, if you are using adire, or you are using a silk fabric, or an Ankara 100% cotton. So I'm going to teach you the methods you are going to be using. So like you see me in this video right now, I've already drawn out the shape of the skirt. Okay, so when you are making this skirt, you have to divide your hip measurement by, you have to divide the length of your skirt by the layered. Okay, so if you are having 5 steps you want to make, then you have to divide the length by the step. Okay, so if your length is 45, then you divide it by 5 step. Okay, so when you have divided it into 5, you are going to get the answer. The answer is going to be the height of the skirt. Okay, so like what I did here now, the client length is 45 inches, and so we are going to divide it by 5, and divided by 5, I got 9 inches. So each of those steps is going to be cut out in 9 inches. Okay, 9 inches height. Please take note, 9 inches height. But the first layer, which is the first one, is 9 inches. But we are going to be using a waistband, so we have to minus 2 inches from the waistband. That's why you saw me, I changed that one there to be 7 inches. So 9 inches minus 2 inches give me 7 inches. So the 2 inches is going to serve for the waistband. Okay, hope you are following. All right, so having done that, let's go into the length cutting of the fabric. The length, how do we get the length of this beautiful skirt? People use different methods. Some use 1.5, some use 2 inches. 2 inches, that depends totally on the availability of your fabric. If you have enough fabric, you can go with 2 inches. Okay, especially when you are using a silk fabric. Okay, you can use 2 inches, you can use 1.5 inches. But the one that I was trying to use here, I was trying to use 1.4 inches, because I just looked at it that since it was an Ankara, I cannot use 1.5. It's going to be too big. So I opted for 1.4. But at the end of the day, when I was done, I discovered that it was so big. So I have to start manipulating. So this one now I'm telling you here is the one you can use for your silk fabric. When you use your silk fabric for this one. Okay, so you can use 1.4, you can use 1.5, depending on what you want. So your hip measurement, if your hip measurement is 44 times 1.4, that will serve as our first step. Okay, then the answer you got there, that's 61.6 times 1.4 again. So any answer you get, you times it again by 1.4 or 1.5, whichever one you use. If you use 1.5, you must go through all the 5 steps. Okay, so 1.5 or 1.4 times your waist measurement, you get the first step. The answer of the first step, you times it by 1.5 again, you get the second step. The answer you get there, you times it by 1.4 again, and you get the third step. Same thing, what you got in the third step, you times it by 1.4 again, and you get the fourth step. And then the last, the answer you got for the fourth step, you times it by 1.4 inches, and you get the fifth step. So when you get this, you see that you are going to need a lot of fabric. That's why I say silk fabric is very lightweight. Okay, so each of those steps, you must cut them out according to this length to get what you want. Okay, so the first step is 61.6. the second one is 86.2. the length, okay, by the 9 inches height that we got in the first place when we are dividing the length of the skirt. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. I just pray you understand. Okay, so 9 inches is for the height of the fabric, and the length is by 6.1 for first one, 8.6 for second one, and 120, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now the next step that we need to do here now is that before you cut out that fabric, the height, you have to add stitching allowance. So this is what I'm doing here. So the first one is 7 inches. 7 inches by 61.6 inches is what we are going to cut for the first fabric. So but here you have to add 1 inches for stitching allowance. You know, the top and the down, you have to join it as you are joining. So half inches will go for the top, half inches will go for the down. So that's why we are adding 1 inches to it. Hope you understand. Then the second step is 9 inches. The second step is 9 inches plus 1 inches gives you 10 inches. Okay, then you cut it by the length that we have calculated for the first time. So now each of this step, that is each of the step height is 10 inches plus 1 inches for each of them, 9 inches, except for that first one, which is 8 inches. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. I just pray you understand. Okay, it's simple. So just follow the step that I'm trying to do here and you will get it. Okay, so now this is for the silk fabric. Okay, so knowing that Ankara fabric, this fabric that I'm using here now is 100% cotton, is thick, is very thick. So we cannot use this method for this one because it's going to be so big. But if you think it's something that you like, that is something you can do, you can go ahead and use it. But this calculation here is going for this silk fabric. Okay, so now let's calculate the one that we can use for Ankara fabric, the one I was able to use because I made a lot of them, and I discovered that this one that I manipulated is better off if you are using Ankara fabric, so it will not be too big for the client. Okay, so now let's go into the second calculations. So you choose the one that you prefer by calculating this particular method. So use this method to get your step skirt, okay, for the silk fabric. So now I'm going to draw out the same pattern again, just the same thing that we did for the first one, and get all the layered, okay, the steps, okay, the 5 steps. So just fold it like this, like I did for the first one. I'm just using this one as a sample, okay, so that you know what I'm doing here. So 9 inches for the height plus 1 inches, 9 inches plus 1 inches, 9 inches plus 1 inch stitching allowance, plus then this one 7 inches plus 1 inches for stitching allowance, and then this is going to be 2 inches, okay, by the length of our skirt. So the hip measurement is what you should always use to calculate this skirt. You know, it's flare, it's gather, I don't know how to, it's gather, is something that has to come together, so you have to use your hip measurement, okay. So now for this one that I manipulated, I still follow the first step for the first number 1, that's the first step, okay. I still use it by using the hip measurement times 1.4, which gave me 61.6 inches. So now from here I started adding 10 inches, so you can add 10 inches to each of the next step, 10-15 inches depending on the fabric that you have, okay. So this manipulated one for my Ankara fabric, because my Ankara fabric is heavy, is thick, so I have to add 10 inches to each of them. So looking at this second one, you can see that I just added up approximately to 72. That's, I just added like 10.5 inches, okay. So the next one, just keep adding 10 inches to it. The third one, 10 inches. The answer you got there, you add 10 inches again. So but for the last one, you know, the last one is very wide, so I have to add 15 inches extra to the last one, so that I can fully gather up the 4th step, okay. So I got 117 inches. So this method is best for saving your fabric, and you will still get what you want. Somebody should clap for myself, clap for me, somebody should clap for me, clap for me, clap for me. So this one is going to save your fabric, and you will still have your desired layered skirt, your Caribbean skirt. Somebody should clap. So now we are going to, so this is a silk fabric pattern you should use. So this one is the Ankara fabric manipulated calculation, and the other is the silk fabric calculation, okay. So to be able to get your waistband, is the same fabric that you cut for the first step that you should also cut for the waist, okay. The length of it, that's what I mean, the length by the height of the band. So if you are using the band of 2 inches, that is what you should remove from that first step. So if you are using 1 inch, you remove 1 inches, okay. So but this very case, we are using 2 inches, so you have to put your fabric on fold and add ½ inches for stitching allowance, then by the length of the first step length. I don't know if you understand me. So that is what I did here, okay. So then you cannot add your elastic that you should use your exact waist measurement minus 10 inches, 5 inches, whichever one you want, depending on the elasticity of your elastic. Okay, so now I have gone ahead to cut out my fabric. You can see I have cut them all out here, and I have numbered each of the fabric. Each of the fabric have already been, you have to number each fabric so that you will not get confused when you are joining them together. Okay, so this is number 1, and then the number 2 is also cut out according to the length that we calculated just now. So just continue that for the rest of the other step. Okay, so cut out the fabric by the length that we have already calculated, okay, and by the height. So each of this fabric was cut out 10 inches by the length, okay, of each of the step. Then when you are done, you bring out each of the fabric and do a running stitch on each of the fabric, one side of it, one side on each of the fabric, a running stitch like you see me doing like that. Then you drag it and just gather them all like this so that the beauty of the gather can come out. Okay, so when you are gathering, you gather the first step. The first step we go with the elastic waistband. The second step you gather it to meet the first one. I don't know if you understand. So for instance, the second step is 82 inches. You gather it to 72. Then the next one, you gather the 92 inches. You gather until it gets to that same exact 82 inches of the upper part. Then the same thing you do for every one of them. So now we are going to stitch that first part together. You know, the first part is going to be having a pocket, a side pocket. So cut the fabric into 2, like I did. I just cut the fabric into 2, and then I'm stitching it together again like this. The reason I'm doing this is just for you to understand what I'm trying to do. I'm still going to lose that part away now after I've stitched this pocket to it. So your pocket should be 10 inches by 7 inches. Okay, 10 inches. You can see this 14. When you fold it into 2, is 7 inches. 7 inches by 10 inches. Unfold like this. Then do the second one. So now we are going to attach that pocket to the side of that first step that is going to be attached to our waistband. Hope you understand what I'm saying here. So you are going to stitch it together like this. So but first of all, notch it so that it can be easy for you to stitch. Okay, so when you are stitching, make sure that the right side is facing the right side of the pocket. The right side is facing the right side, and then you stitch it together. So just watch what I'm going to be doing, and then continue to watch and enjoy your video. Just follow every step I'm doing here, and when you are done, you will see how lovely your skirt is going to come out well. So stay till the end so that you can see the result of this beautiful skirt.